Central Library will play host to a free public forum on Tuesday, December 6th at 6:30 p.m. The topic of the forum is the Archaeology of Homelessness. One of the panelists will be Dr. Larry Zimmerman, Professor of Anthropology and Museum Studies at IUPUI. Now, this forum will follow the opening of a special exhibit that takes a look at homelessness here in Indianapolis that will continue on display through December 20th here at Central Library. Dr. Zimmerman, thank you for joining us. This is a fascinating topic, one that I'm not sure people would readily put the two concepts together of archaeology and homelessness. Is that a relatively new field of study?
Yeah, actually it is in some senses, but archaeologists have always dealt with stuff. Archaeology is really more about things and looking at artifacts, how people use them, how they get them, how they dispose of them, what they mean to people. And one of the things we can do is apply our archaeological methods to virtually any time period. So we're talking here maybe about the archaeology of 5 minutes ago. And when we have archaeology as a field of study, we can learn a lot of different things about how people adapt the environments that they live in. And that's one of the things that archaeologists always ask.
Now, this forum at 6:30 on December 6th here at Central Library will feature you and some other panelists, one from the UK, one from, I believe, the University of Maryland. What kinds of things will you want to talk about at that forum?
One of the things that we'll be talking about, first of all, is how we do apply the archaeology. We'll look at some of the archaeological methods that we use. In the UK, it's been a little bit different. One of the things they've done already is to invite some of the homeless people to actually dig with them and be able to talk to them as they're excavating. The homeless people have been able to point out what some of the features are that they're seeing, what some of the artifacts are that we archaeologists aren't all too familiar with sometimes. But we'll also be talking about some of the things that we have seen in the field that suggest that we maybe don't deliver services so well to homeless people. There are a lot of very generous people who like to help homeless people. They bring out things all the time. But some of the things that they bring out aren't necessarily very useful. So for example, we find things like little hotel shampoo and conditioner bottles on occasion. And we find those out in the homeless sites in fair number, and they're always full. They're always thrown away. And one of the things we started asking around about was where those came from. And somebody said, well, some of the churches that come out here will tell their parishioners, go to your hotel and bring those things back every day, and we'll give them to the homeless people down the line. Well, there's one kind of problem with having shampoo and conditioner out in a campsite. What's that? Do you know?
No running water.
No running water. It seems like it's just sort of very straightforward and simple. There's just no ready supply of water. So if they want to use that, they either have to find a supply of water or have to go to a shelter or something like that, where there's usually shampoo and conditioner anyway if they want.
So people may be well-intentioned, but they're a little off the mark in what they're really doing to help. And canned goods is another example that you discussed earlier.
Definitely, yeah. The canned goods are pretty fascinating in some ways. We found cans that have been bashed open by rocks, cut open with knives, exploded because they've been put in a fire and expanded so rapidly it blew the top out. One of the things we discovered that people do is bring out all kinds of canned goods, but very rarely the pull-top cans, which are becoming a little more popular, thank goodness, but never can openers. A simple little can opener would work a world of wonder for a lot of people in the campsites that need to open a can of food. We actually took a bunch out one time just to see what people would say, and they were extremely grateful for the can openers. Can openers, can openers.
Dr. Larry Zimmerman is one of the panelists for the public forum on the Archaeology of Homelessness on Tuesday, December 6th at 6:30 here at Central Library. There's an associated event, an exhibit that I mentioned at the outset that your students at IUPUI are curating. Tell us about this exhibit that will be at Central Library through December.
The exhibit comes from a class that Elizabeth Kreider-Reed, the Director of Museum Studies, and our team teaching on issues in cultural heritage. And one of the things that we're trying to say in the exhibit is, let's look at these homeless campsites in a lot different way. So we're going to have some photographs of the archaeology being done. We're going to have some displays that are of some of the things we find in the archaeological campsites of people. And then we'll also have a companion exhibit that's over in Kavanaugh Hall. It has a few more objects in it. This exhibit in the library will be more photographically based.
Okay. What about here in Indianapolis? Has your research taken you to different sites? Are there any more renowned homeless sites here in Indianapolis that this study avails itself to?
the sites have popped up obviously more and more and more often because of the economy, but we've been studying one site in particular on Davidson Street for about 5 years now. It's a site that seems to have a lot more people coming into it, a lot of people moving in and out, and then one right across the interstates on Pine Street that recently was abandoned, or people being pushed out of it by the police and so forth. So we've been looking at this general area in that sort of core around Washington down there, and some of the sites that are associated with it. But there are certainly sites all around the downtown area.
Okay.
The reason for that is because there are a lot of resources for people.
Well, we'll learn more at the public forum on Tuesday, December 6th, 6:30 here at Central Library, featuring Dr. Larry Zimmerman at IUPUI and two other panelists, one from UK and University of Maryland, and then the accompanying exhibit, which will take place beginning that night on Tuesday, December 6th, continuing through December 20th. Dr. Zimmerman, thank you, and we'll look for you at the forum.
Great.